Hey guys, this is another Beatles fan on my fourth attempt to record this video. I hope I make it now. Anyway, usually I end up covering Beatles related news and maybe give my opinion on it, maybe show you guys my latest vinyl collection. But today I just wanted to chat about songs covered by the Beatles because there's quite a few of them actually, especially on the Live of the BBC album. And well, today I was scrolling around Spotify while working and I found a great playlist called George's Jukebox, which apparently contains every single song that had on George Harrison jukebox, right? So I thought that was fun, and I clicked play on it. The first song that came up was Slow Down, the original version by Larry Williams. And I gotta tell you, Slow Down is in my top five least favorite Beatles songs. I don't like that version. And I like the BBC version, though, the live one, live at BBC. I think it's okay. But Larry Williams' was an incredible listen, really, because it took one of my least favorite Beatles songs, and it made me realize that I didn't dislike the song. I just disliked the Beatles version, which is something that I usually don't say much, and because I usually love everything the Beatles related. But of course, there's a few of those songs that aren't my favorites. And well, but you know, I also thought to myself, well, this channel is supposed to be a channel about being a Beatles fan and not a Beatles hater, right? I don't want to be negative, and I don't want to spread negativity about something as incredible as the Beatles. So I decided to rank my top five favorite songs by the Beatles that are covers. So let's do it, right? Before I do that, though, I just want to mention three covers that I do not like by them, just because that's what inspired me, really. Slow Down, Matchbox, and Dizzy Miss Lizzy would be the top three covers by the Beatles that I do not like, especially Dizzy Miss Lizzy with that terrible position at the end of the Help album that should have closed off with Yesterday, but it doesn't. After Yesterday comes Dizzy Miss Lizzy, and that is just not the greatest choice in my opinion. I think that song is annoying. Anyway, again, I want to spread positivity here, so let's start off with my top five. And I'm breaking another rule here. It's a top six. So, first one comes out of the Beatles' debut album, Please Please Me. And of course, you already know what I'm gonna say. It's my top five covers by the Beatles. Of course, Twist and Shout is on it. Oh my god, what an album closer. What a loud motorbike that came around here, I'm sorry. But what an album closer. It's one of those covers that they feel like it's a Beatles song. And in fact, it kind of is. Of course, they didn't write it, but they own it. I think it's out of all of the Beatles covers, this one is the one they own the most. And they played it so many times live. It was the opener for their shows, and they played a reduced version. And it's just great. It's got great energy. Of course, the highlight here is John's vocals. They're gritty. It's super throaty, just because he was kind of sick, or maybe it was just because that it was the final song that they recorded on a sort of a marathon, right? While recording Please Please Me. So that all made for probably the greatest cover that the Beatles ever did. And what a way to start off my top 5 that is actually a top 6, am I right? Well, let's continue down in a chronological order, shall we? 3 songs out of With the Beatles. And it's not my favorite early Beatles record, but it's got some great covers. And again, one that I do feel like they own that song too. Till There Was You by Wilson. I believe it's Harold Wilson. I'm not sure. Great vocals by Paul, but especially great, incredible solo by George. Even live, the song sometimes they performed it live a bit faster, and George just nailed the solo every time. It's super jazzy in a way that reminds me of Chet Atkins, but at the same time, it's really Georgie. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure if the original has the same solo. I gotta check. But anyway, it's great, especially the solo. I love it. It's a great ballad. Well, number 3 of my top 5 that is actually a top 6, Till There Was You. Also, I'm sorry, You Really Got a Hold on Me. This is probably my most underrated pick. I think my most obscure pick out of all of these. But I just absolutely love the song. I'm a sucker for great love ballads. I know George really loves it. He even mentions it in his Pure Smokey song, the song he made in homage to Smokey Robinson. And of course, it's a song by Smokey Robinson, and I do love the Beatles version. I love that it was remixed on the New Red album. Love the harmonies. I also really dig the original. It's usually I prefer the Beatles covers over the originals. There are some incredibly rare examples where I prefer the originals, which is the case for Slow Down, as I mentioned. But this one, really, they're up there. Both of the versions are just great. John's vocal shines super well. It's a John and George harmonization, which doesn't happen every day. Again, I love it. It's one of my favorites off of With the Beatles, to be honest. We have here, as the 4th song of my top 5 that is actually a top 6, the closer for With the Beatles. And of course, it's Money, That's What I Want. Oh my god, what a great, incredible closer. I'm pretty sure they try to remake the great energetic closer that was Twist and Shout with another cover. And man, oh man, I do think it's a great recording, great production on it. They really rock. And you know, the Beatles with those old school covers, and it does feel like they're a super well-oiled machine. You know, that was a result out of all of those nights in Hamburg. So you do feel this on it. It's just super energetic. I feel like it's contagious. Its rhythm, it's contagious. I do prefer it to the original, and it's great thinking about how they thought, even in the early days, about the album closers, right? Especially on the 3 first albums, Please Please Me had Twist and Shout. This one has Money, and then A Hard Day's Night is a more rocking album, I'd say, than all of these ones, or at least more Beatlemaniac sounding. And they end with I'll Be Back, which is great. It's kind of an anti-climax that really helps. Alright, so that's my top 4 so far. Twist and Shout, Till There Was You, You Really Got a Hold on Me, and Money. Of course, they're not in chronological order. I'm sorry, they're not in preference order. They're in chronological order. And then we reach the 5th song. And again, I I could only pick six. I'm sorry, I couldn't pick five. I had to pick six. Long Tall Sally. I got this 8 days a week version because I do love the Live in the Hollywood Bowl version. It's just Paul being a master in rock vocals, right? And live, Ringo just rips his drums off. It's incredible what Ringo does live, especially at the end with that rhythm kind of using the toms. I don't even know how to describe that really, but it's one of my favorites. Long Tall Sally. It's again a great song, great version, the original by Little Richard, and it's maybe Paul at his best vocal wise. And again, they play that so many times, they feel like a well-oiled machine. Solos by George and John, which is always great to see. So it's got everything you'd want from a nerdy Beatles record. And well, this is my sixth pick. Maybe it's an extra one. I'd say I didn't include Words of Love, which I do love, by Buddy Holly, of course, on Beatles for Sale. But I also do love Act Naturally. It's one of my favorite songs sung by Ringo just because it fits him so well, that country vibe. And Help does have a country vibe, especially with this great cowboy hat that George uses here at the back cover. But I just feel like it's super Ringo. I love when Paul comes in on the second chorus with those harmonies. It's such great harmony. It's super high on the register, and I feel like it's a great way to end things up. It's Ringo singing Act Naturally. It's a super underrated track. I don't like country that much, but I do love this one. Anyway, what do you guys think about songs by the Beatles that were actually covers? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Do you agree with me that Slow Down and Matchbox aren't good? Do you agree with me that Twist and Shout feels more Lennon McCartney than its original composers? I think it's Medley and Russell, right? Please let me know down here. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you.